Not only could we suddenly have a barge supply and not truck supply, so we could supply a bigger volume in shorter time, we were also enabling the client to do a simultaneous operation. So we had both the loading components going on and we had the bunkering operation. So save some time for the client while making bunkering feasible.
Wim, Nicolaj, thanks for taking the time to speak to me today. We're here at the Offshore Energy event. Always a good event. Wim, we had a good conversation this time last year.
Yeah.
Just wanted to catch up, find out how the year has been. I know you guys have been working together on some projects. So if you just tell us a little bit about the company, what you guys are doing, and then a bit about the project.
Clarksons Port Services, we are heavily involved in the offshore renewable industry, which is developing big time, especially in North Sea.
Yeah.
But also Baltic Sea is coming. We see more complex tender requests coming in, where clients or the market is asking more from a player like us. And most of the time, it's also the fuel supply. We make use of Den Bunkering for a long time, and there's a solid partnership with Den Bunkering as our trusted partner.
Yeah. Can you tell us? I think there was a project in Dundee recently.
Yeah, we did a project last year where we had a bit more complex situation where usually when we get involved with the fuel, it's often at the front desk when the procurement team is seeing the inquiries, but then you might not have already done the risk mitigation or looked at the obstacles that there might be in the local port. So one of the obstacles we faced here was that you cannot have a barge alongside a jack-up vessel because it's a fast tidal flowing port. So by partnering up together with Clarksons and being part of the project at the early stages and the planning phases, we were able to find a solution where we install a shore pipe on the quayside. We put the bunker barge alongside the berth instead of the vessel. So not only could we suddenly have a barge supply and not truck supply, so we could supply a bigger volume in shorter time, we were also enabling the client to do a simultaneous operation. So we had both the loading components going on and we had the bunkering operation. So save some time for the client while making bunkering feasible.
And just in terms of the market, I mean, you just mentioned people or clients coming for bigger requests or bigger. Is that because of bigger projects? Is that what's the main reason for that?
We see specifically in the Netherlands where port infrastructure is limited for the various phases of a wind farm. So what we see now is questions from clients if we can assist during construction phase, which is in a different port than an O&M base is for the Netherlands. So we serve clients in various phases, from Eemshaven for construction, from Den Helder for O&M, from IJmuiden for commissioning. So it can happen that we are involved via 3 or 4 different ports, including a heliport, to serve for one wind farm during construction. And then O&M lands that's 10 years or 15 years from the same port. But the construction phase includes different ports and heliports to serve the client.
How are you viewing the industry as a whole? I mean, obviously, I was speaking to a few people. This time last year, Trump was just about to be elected. Yeah. Obviously, that's had a massive effect on the US market. Yeah. Has that benefited Europe or the rest of the world in terms of their market slowing down? Have you seen an increase because of that?
What I personally see is, let's say, North Sea, for instance, is powerhouse. I told you, or I believe last year as well, same. But what you also see is different tender type from governments, different. I mean, the last tender request in the Netherlands, nobody bid on it because the system is not valid enough to do so. And the same story has been done in Germany, in Denmark, in UK, but they have solved that issue there. So now the Dutch need to rethink and go back to the drawing board to come up with the next tender, which is interesting for people, for companies to bid on. But the development is ongoing.
Yeah.
It's massive, and we are not even there.
No.
And now the Baltic is starting up, so that's also coming in. And in the Baltic, with all respect, it's one of the first wind farms to be built in Polish waters. So the experience is not really there yet. So we see involvement for us as well there.
So I think there's a Polish area here this year.
Companies like Clarksons are here, which we collaborate with already now. So that's good. We need to do it together.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, like the partnership with Dan Bunker. And for yourselves, I mean, like Clarkson are a huge company. For yourselves, where where are you seeing the most growth? Where are you seeing the most issues? Tell us a little bit more about that.
I would say, just as you mentioned yourself, US has made a lot of uncertainty in the market because you saw projects be put on stop after 80% completion. You saw projects being pulled back after FID was even negotiated or being accepted by all parties.
Yeah.
So it has created some uncertainty for at least some of the subcontractors participating in the projects. But at the same time, it also puts a higher demand on the subcontractors or all stakeholders participating in the projects that they really need to be on hand. They need to have integrated partnerships, so everybody's kind of working in the same direction.
Yeah.
Because even for one project, you have multiple subcontractors and stakeholders who's all working for the same purpose,
Yep.
but everybody's doing it kind of on their own if they're not trying to mitigate some of the things.
And just in terms of the market as a whole, are you seeing the next 1, 2, 3 years as positive? Is there a good growth there for you?
Oh yes, definitely. What I see, just focusing, let's say, on the German and Dutch sector, you see a massive growth. I mean, the 2 gigawatt platforms from TenneT Netherlands are coming in, and Germany as well, which gives a massive leapfrog for expansion, but also for all suppliers in the area.
Yeah.
I mean, it's what Nicolaj says. It's different stakeholders working on the same wind farm, and what we are strong in is to be the glue for all the stakeholders. So we work for, let's say, the wind farm owner, the different stakeholders we like to have as a client, and we have the paraplu view, the umbrella view to, okay, but we know this, we know that, we know it by air, we know it in the ports.
Pulling it all together.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the negative? What do you think could potentially bad that could happen in the next few years? Just not enough funding, not enough projects actually getting the green light. Are there any fears or concerns?
What we all should agree on, that we need more electricity. The demand will be bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
So something needs to be done, and it needs to be green. And left to right, we need to have those turbines erected and spinning. But it's the same, there also need to be a business model for the developers. That is the fear from governments, putting the auctions on the market in a real funded way.
Yeah, people still need to earn money whilst creating green electricity.
True.
Yeah, it has to make sense for the entire supply chain.
Exactly.
And even with the uncertainty that has come in with the decisions from the US, with what Wim was also mentioning, with all the tender rounds where no bidders or only one bidder, so they could not complete the bidding rounds.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's still a fair share of projects ongoing. There's a lot of projects in the pipeline, which is for construction start over the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
So maybe new projects or the pipeline that was there previously or the target from EU and stuff will not make the target. But at the same time, there needs to be a balance in regards to the assets available to build the windmill farms, the components, the steel available, to kind of make sure we can also meet the project demands that will be out there in the market.
Yeah.